guys, it's Tessa from HandleTheHeat.com, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make soft batch cookies. Now, whether you're making chocolate chip cookies or snickerdoodles to sugar cookies and everything else in between, the tips and tricks that I'm going to be sharing with you can be used for any recipe. And be sure to watch all the way to the end because I'm going to be sharing all of the secret ingredients that make the world's softest, melt in your mouth, ooey gooey cookies, and you're going to love them because they're so easy. Now, all of this info actually comes from my brand new ebook, The Ultimate Cookie Handbook, which is now available for purchase, and I'll be sure to link to that in the description box below because this is going to be your cookie Bible. It answers all of the questions you guys are always asking me about why do your cookies turn out like this, what happens when this happens, or how you can make your cookies more crispy or soft or chewy or whatever you want. This will answer all of your cookie problems and questions so you can make perfect cookies every single time. I'm so excited for you to get this into your hands. Now, I'll link to everything down below, including where you can get this Ultimate Cookie Handbook and the full post on how to make soft batch cookies. So if you'd like to learn how to make soft batch cookies, then just keep watching. So for this video, I'm just making a soft batch chocolate chip cookie recipe, and I'll link to the full recipe below, but like I said, these tips and tricks can be used for pretty much any cookie recipe. So I'm getting started with some of my dry ingredients, and I'm adding in half a teaspoon of fine salt, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of baking soda. And now here is secret ingredient to soft batch cookies number one, and that is cornstarch. I'm adding in a teaspoon of cornstarch. Cornstarch cookies, just that small amount, it adds lots of softness and that kind of gooey texture and more pale color. And it can also aid in lift and height because it is a thickening agent. And soft batch cookies are usually taller so that they're not crispy like thinner cookies. So after I combine these smaller dry ingredients, I'm going to get started with my flour. And whenever I'm making cookies, I always weigh out my dry ingredients such as flour because it's so important for you to be pretty much a perfectionist with cookies. Because if you notice that your cookies end up crumbly, dense, greasy, whatever your issue is, it may likely be due to mismeasuring your ingredients. So I added 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, or 6.75 ounces, and I just added in a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. Now here is the next secret ingredient, and that is brown sugar. And while there is brown sugar in most cookie recipes, especially chocolate chips, here we are using way more brown sugar. We're using twice as much brown sugar than granulated sugar. So I've added in half a cup plus 2 tablespoons of packed brown sugar, or 4.4 ounces, as opposed to the 1/4 cup I used of granulated sugar. And the brown sugar, the reason we're using so much more of it is because brown sugar is hygroscopic, which means that it takes in and retains moisture way more than granulated sugar. So adding more moisture to our cookies is going to make them softer. And with brown sugar, they'll actually stay softer for longer. And here I'm just weighing out the brown sugar until I get just the perfect amount called for in this recipe. I also love the flavor that brown sugar adds. It adds more of that butterscotch flavor to cookies, and I just love it, especially for chocolate chips. So now I have my stand mixer here, and I'm going to add in 6 tablespoons or 3 ounces of unsalted butter, which is at a cool room temperature. You want to be sure not to use butter that's too warm, otherwise your cookies will spread flat. Okay, so here's secret ingredient number 3, which may surprise you, and that's actually 2 tablespoons or 1 ounce of plain cream cheese. And the reason we're adding in cream cheese is because not only does it add richness and an incredible depth of flavor, you can't taste the cream cheese, but it just makes the cookies so much more flavorful. But cream cheese tenderizes the cookies, so they're super soft, maybe even a little bit more chewy, without being cakey because of the extra fat content in the cream cheese. And so that is probably something that I like to add into any recipe I want to make soft batch, whether it's sugar cookies, snickerdoodles, chocolate chips. Cream cheese works for everything. So I'm just giving this a whirl in my mixer until it's nice and light and fluffy, and I don't want to mix for longer than 3 minutes, otherwise I might actually incorporate too much air. And if you've ever had cookies that look really big and puffy when they come out of the oven and then fall super duper flat when they're cooling, that may be because you incorporated too much air while mixing. So I've just scraped down the edges of the bowl. Even though I'm using my beater blade, I still want to scrape everything down to make sure it's nice and cohesive. And I'm just adding in 1 large egg. And after that's just mixed up, I'm going to begin adding in on low speed my flour mixture. This has the flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and cornstarch. And I just want to mix that until it is just incorporated, because if I continue to mix this for any longer, it will actually begin to form gluten, which will make for tougher, chewier cookies, which we don't want for our soft batch. So once that it's just incorporated, I'm going to add in 1 cup. You can either use semi-sweet chocolate chips or chocolate chunks. I made 2 batches with both. And then here is the soft batch secret. You want to chill the dough before you scoop it and bake it. Chilling the dough, not only, it does magical things, and I write extensively about this in the Ultimate Cookie Handbook, but for this particular recipe, having cold dough especially helps us to keep the cookies nice and thick and prevent them from getting too thin and crispy. So just to make the cookies extra special, I dotted them with some more chocolate chips on top so they look absolutely beautiful. If you have any issues with your cookies getting too thin and flat while baking, a super quick tip is to actually shape them into tall mounds of cookie dough instead of balls, and that'll help them stay nice and thick. See how beautiful these cookies are? They're so soft and gooey, and they are incredible. So those are my favorite soft batch cookies, but if you wanted to try some other tips, you could use cake flour instead of all-purpose flour because it has less protein, which will make for a more delicate, tender, and cakey cookie. You can either use half cake flour, add in maybe just a 1/4 cup or whatever you want to do. Just substitute some of the all-purpose flour with cake flour. And my last soft batch tip is to bake the cookies at a lower temperature at 325 degrees to make them more soft and pale and delicate. Alright guys, so that is exactly how you make soft batch cookies. I hope you learned a few things about cookie baking in this video. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. And this is just one small part of what's included in the Ultimate Cookie Handbook. I show you not just how to make soft cookies, but how to make cookies chewier, crispier, thinner, taller, cakier, whatever your heart desires. There's a way to do it with the information in this book, and there are so many pictures. Everything is accompanied by a picture, so you can actually see the baking science at work and see how all the little tweaks that you do actually impact the final cookie. And this is going to empower you with everything you need to know to customize your cookies and actually make your very own recipes. Everyone will love them, and you are going to love it too. So thank you guys so much for watching again, and I'll catch you around in another food video soon. Bye!